It's not just black folks, brown folks, Muslim folks, and Arab folks. It's anyone. Authoritarians and fascists don't care. They're not loyal to anybody. And speaking about a person who's fought back against authoritarianism, against fascists, against liars, against these far-right websites, against far-right donors who've tried to bring him down, but they can't crush his spirit, we got the man, the former New York rep, the longtime always educator, and the new co-host of the show Bowman and Bush on Zeteo. We got our man, Jamaal Bowman. Sir, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Representative Bowman, Educator Bowman, Fighter Bowman, Mr. Jamaal Bowman. I believe the intersection of Donald Trump's completely illegal unilateral crackdown in the Department of Education is tied hand in hand to a white supremacist agenda. My thoughts. I believe this has been the 70-year plan ever since Brown versus Board of Education. I believe now they have their gang in power and they're cracking down. Do you agree with me? And if you do, can you break it down for the rest of us?
Yes, I agree with you 100%. Good to see you both. Thank you so much for having me. We're living through a scary time. We're living through an unprecedented time. And yes, to break it down, the only way fascism works, the only way authoritarianism works, is if the country is in chaos and miseducated. So the year after year attacks on public education were not by accident. They were by design, they were strategic. Let's attack teachers and continue to communicate that teachers are incompetent. Let's attack teachers because they are unions, and we can't have unions if we want a corporate private takeover of our country. Let's attack our curriculum and call it critical race theory so that we can take control of what kids are learning in classrooms and how they are learning it. Let's attack so-called DEI so that we could defund higher education and defund public schools. And let's shut down the Department of Education, which is what the conservatives in the Republican Party have been trying to do for many, many years. And so the more they attack education, the more they attack our learning, the more miseducated we are, the more we can be controlled. And this directly aligns to a white supremacist agenda. My ancestors, the ones who were enslaved in this country, were not allowed to learn to read for a reason. Because when you read, you are empowered. When you are empowered, you are going to fight back. Yeah. And unfortunately, they're trying to take away our knowledge, take away our ability to fight.
Rep Bowman, so good to see you again. And I just want to ask you about like your experience. You were a principal, and for many years, and you know, we know the DOE's defunding is going to fall down on low income schools, but also special ed programs. You know, there's $15.5 billion that goes to special ed programs, rural schools. Just like from a principal's perspective, from an educator's perspective, like what does that mean? What does that mean for like some of the funding that maybe you yourself had to fight for, or you saw hollowed out while you know, were in the position that you had?
So the majority of the students I served over my 20-year career lived in Title I school communities. These are communities that have been underfunded historically and under-resourced historically, and connecting to another federal piece of legislation have been redlined for many years. And so many of the kids come to school hungry. What the federal government does is it provides Title I funding to schools so that we can make sure kids are eating breakfast, so that we can make sure they are eating lunch. For those who stay after school, we make sure they are eating supper. And I focus on the eating because when kids are hungry, they cannot learn. And so we have to make sure the federal government continues to provide the resource so that we can feed kids, number one. Number two, children with special needs require additional resources, additional teachers, additional teaching assistants. Some require wheelchairs or video equipment to help them learn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Special education has been underfunded forever, right? And now with the closure of the Department of Education, it's going to be further underfunded, further harming our most vulnerable kids. And it's important for the audience to know, when we talk about special education, we're not just talking about kids in wheelchairs, even though they're part of it. We're talking about kids who learn differently, kids with so-called learning disabilities who require additional resources. You know where those kids end up? They end up in prison without those resources. And so when I see a federal government funding war and funding prison and funding police, but not funding schools, I am crystal clear on what they are telling us and what they are trying to do. We will miseducate you. We will continue to underfund your community and leave you to fend for yourself. And if you end up dead or in jail, so be it. And this impacts those who are poor and those who are people of color and marginalized groups more. It's more impactful on them than it is the majority of us. And what's so crazy, as we all know, this impacts rural Republican districts just as much, if not more, than urban districts. But as we always said, Donald Trump and Elon Musk don't care about the American people. They care about privatizing the government and robbing from the poor to give to the rich.
Liking this video? Then don't just watch. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And tap the bell so you never miss a video or live show. But if you want early access to exclusive content, then you have to head to Zeteo.com and subscribe now. You'll be supporting fearless, independent journalism.
Can I say, well, connection with the last point you just made, right? A lot of people don't know that 90% of our children, I say our children, American children, are taught in public schools.
Public schools, yes.
Yeah, and like you said, not just for food to feed these children, schools, public schools are also childcare for many adults, right? Can you connect the dot, right? Because I'm glad you mentioned that they want to attack the unions, they want to do cultural indoctrination, but there's always a grift here, Representative. The Republicans remind me of arsonists. They've been weakening public schools, and then they say, see, these public schools suck. Oh, by the way, let me just throw another Molotov cocktail there. What do they want to do after they weaken and dismantle public schools? Can you tell them about the grift aspect of this?
Yes, thank you for that question. So charter schools are not public schools. It's important for us to say that out loud. Here's what I mean. Charter schools have privately appointed school boards, not elected school boards. There are no teachers unions in the big charter school chains across the country. And if you invest in a charter school through the federal law called the New Market Tax Credit, you can double or triple your money within 7 years of investment. So there's a for-profit motive through the investment in charter schools. And that's why you see the charter schools that I call the evil empire: KIPP, Achievement First, Success Academy, Democracy Prep, and Uncommon Schools. Those charter networks have been getting tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars from the federal government. And that money is coming from our public schools. So this is not like a new pie. If a charter school moves into a community, they take money from the public schools in that community to fund their education programs. And oh, by the way, if a child has special needs and is struggling in that charter school, they don't bring in additional resources to help them. They kick the kid out and send them back to public schools. That's just charter schools. The other grift is private schools, and the other grift is Catholic schools. This is the voucher program. So when Donald Trump says he wants to send money back to the states, those states now have the money and power to open up more charters, more private and more Catholic schools, and take money from public schools to do just that. And so theoretically, and not even theoretically, there's clear examples of this. Philadelphia public schools were victims of this. You go down streets in Philadelphia, you see huge comprehensive schools closed down. After Katrina, remember, these people always say, I think it was Don Rumsfeld who always says, never let a crisis go to waste. After Katrina, charter schools came in, took over about 60% of the damn public schools. And so that's the grift. Get them out of public schools, let them go to charter, Catholic, or private, and we make a profit in the meantime. And lastly, if these charter schools or private schools are digital schools, then you erect the digital schools, parents use the $10,000 or $15,000, whatever money amount voucher to pay for those schools to give them a digital AI-driven education and pocket the majority of money for profit.
Yeah, 100%. And what's so ironic about that is that during the 2020, shutdowns, when schools were like, this is not safe. We want to keep our teachers and our students and our communities safe from COVID. The right was freaking out, but that ultimately what we are going to be seeing is the replacement of, in-person learning with virtual digital learning, as you said, but only when they're up and ready, only when they can make enough money off of it. We're not going to hear all that like, oh, the students are missing out by not being in person noise, when it's the right that gets to make a buck off it, when it's Betsy DeVos's family that can make a buck off of it.
In Michigan, all the charter schools in Michigan, in Arizona.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable, and that's a great point. Where are the right-wing parents up in arms right now that they just closed the federal department? I mean, it's really, they're completely silent. And so Donald Trump doesn't know shit about education. Elon Musk doesn't know shit about education. Linda McMahon doesn't know shit about education. And they're just freaking winging it, causing chaos in the federal government, hacking data, firing tens of thousands of people that have to be brought back. It's complete chaos leadership. But they are flooding the zone, as Steve Bannon talks about. And to use a Star Wars reference, they are overwhelming the Jedi right now and taking over the freaking country. And and we have Democrats who don't have the intestinal fortitude or the spine to fight back, particularly Democrats in the Senate. Like, what are we doing, yo? This is a fascist takeover our government. What are you doing?
That's what I wanted to ask you about next. It must be enraging to not actually be in Congress, but also, a little bit of a relief given how much these were being let down and how much, to say what you will about Hakeem Jeffries, the caucus got in line to, not vote for this budget bill. And then, of course, Senator Schumer led 9 other senators, Democratic senators, to vote for it or allow it to be passed. So what do you think should happen? What do you think should happen to the likes of Chuck Schumer? Are we talking about you cannot be the leader of this party? Or are we talking about we don't have time to waste, step down? I mean, where are you at when it comes to what should happen to these folks?
We don't have time to waste, step down, or receive a vote of no confidence. That's where we are. We are fighting for the future of humanity. I don't even want to say democracy. It's humanity. We are simultaneously funding a genocide in Gaza, and the same people who are part of funding that genocide are leading the fascism in our country. And so democracy is on the line, our humanity is on the line. We're in a constitutional crisis. Trump is ignoring the courts. They will not take action against him. When that happens, it's done, finished, no more democracy. We need leaders who are ready to fight back. Chuck Schumer could have grinded the appointment process of Trump's appointees to a halt. He didn't do that. He could have did more to resist then. He didn't. He could have. And why give us these binaries? Why is it the bill or shutdown? A third option is don't come to me with this bullshit ass bill. This is a non-starter. You need our votes to keep the government open. If you don't come with us with a new bill, it's going to shut down. And it's on you, not us.
It's on you. You're the one who controls
and you're in control of everything. It's on you. And every day of that shutdown, we would have been reporting on how effed up Trump and Elon is destroying the country. Not how Democrats didn't bend over and take it and vote for the damn bill. And so Schumer played that wrong. The other Democrats should have not voted with him. And we got, again, we're in a constitutional crisis against a dictator in chief. We have to fight differently. Schumer is a privileged white man, and he thinks that things are just going to always land his way because he's a privileged white man. And it will for him.
And they will.
But it ain't going to it ain't for the rest of us.
Can I say this real quick, Representative Bowman? One last question. And I'm going to exercise a little bit of time, even though Mel, our producer, is like, no, move on. I have to ask you this. We talked about these pro-Palestinian students who are being targeted. We're talking about the spouses of Palestinians being targeted. You were targeted. Cori Bush was targeted with a record amount of money from AIPAC and their allies to unseat you from your House seat. A flood of money that we've never seen before. Quickly, in the final question I have, the advice that you'd give to those people who care about the genocide, for those people who want the United States to not be complicit, for those people who are standing up for human rights, for those people who are saying not in our name. With all this intense pressure, you've gone through it. Your advice to these students, these postdoc students, these professors, these elected officials?
Keep fighting. Keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting by any means necessary. Occupy buildings, civil disobedience, go to marches, make calls, send text messages, write letters, post on social media. Do it in community with others, not alone. It's important for us to be in community together. Yes. And we have to remember, we have to be patient yet persistent, meaning, you know, the civil rights movement was over a decade or more, right? Anti-war movement over a decade or more. Abolitionist movement, decade, like these are years in the making. And so we're going to have to continue to fight for years in order to win. I mean, Steve Bannon is talking about Donald Trump getting a third term. Yep. And so the fight is every day. The fight must be in community, but we have to keep fighting. And I know I don't have to tell the pro-Palestinian protesters that they're fucking amazing. They're everywhere. Jewish Voices for Peace, Students for Justice in Palestine, and so many other groups are putting their bodies on the line every single day. And they give other people courage to do the same. And so please continue to fight, especially people of privilege. Please use your privilege to speak out and to fight, because we need everyone if we're going to win. And we are going to win because God can't let this happen to all of us. Something has to give.
You were dropping so many truth bombs that there were crashing plates behind you. Representative Bowman, real quick, please shamelessly promote yourself. How can people support you? How can people listen to you?
Yeah, I mean, follow me on social media. You know, Jamaal Bowman NY. I'm most active on IG. I have an incredible new podcast with my sister Corey Bush on Zeteo. Right now, we're recording once a month, but we're hoping to increase that. And yeah, you know, I'm involved in a lot of different things. So just follow me on IG. You see everything we got going on. We got a new super PAC called builttowin.org, which is all about year-round organizing, targeting communities of color, because, you know, Democrats don't know what the hell they're doing there. And so we need to build new infrastructure. And so I'm hoping to be a part of building that infrastructure.
Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to Zeteo.com. Your support matters.